Our solar system is full of mysterious objects that come from, well, everywhere. In October 2017, researchers in Hawaii spotted a mysterious thing that they dubbed Oumuamua. This means a visitor from a faraway land in Hawaiian, or "that's a really big cow." It followed an escape orbit. It literally escaped from its planet's gravitational pull, like throwing a ball into space, never to return. This meant that this weird thing arrived from somewhere outside of our solar system. There were tons of theories about what it was, from a simple asteroid to an extraterrestrial spacecraft. Scientists even thought it was a chunk of nitrogen ice from a Pluto-like planet. Its strange shape only added to the mystery. The big changes in the light curves showed that this thing could be either elongated like a tube or more flat like a pancake. This thing was unlike anything we've seen before. Oumuamua didn't behave exactly like a comet or an asteroid. Comets are icy and form bright tails when they pass near the sun, while asteroids are basically just rocks and don't form tails. Oumuamua has no tail and doesn't release gas, like me. But it's not your average rock either. Its surface is very shiny, almost like polished metal. When it passed by the sun, it sped up, like it had a rocket on it. And it wasn't the sun's gravity that gave Oumuamua the sudden boost. Scientists aren't sure what caused it. So what in the world was that thing? After years of study, scientists now think that Oumuamua is probably a comet with frozen hydrogen on its surface. This hydrogen reacted with sunlight, speeding up the comet and changing its path. Oumuamua likely got all that hydrogen from being exposed to tons of cosmic rays for a long time. It got some nice red tint from them as well. Oumuamua was a visitor from a young, chaotic solar system where collisions and migrations happen all the time. Such systems often toss many small objects around. It might have been pushed out by a planet like Jupiter, whose gravity is so insanely strong that it can fling huge things into outer space. The same thing often happens with comets here. Oumuamua already left our solar system, although similar objects visit us sometimes, about once per year. To learn more about these mysterious guests, astronomers plan to send a probe to chase Oumuamua. We'll use Earth's and Jupiter's orbits to slingshot it fast enough to catch up with the comet. But some of the unexpected visitors stayed a bit longer. In October 2019, NASA's Hubble Space Telescope took a picture of a bluish comet trailing dust and gas. It was already in the solar system at the time, around 260 million miles away from Earth, somewhere between Mars and Jupiter. We saw the glowing dust surrounding it, but we couldn't yet see its nucleus since it's way too small. Well, small is relative here. The thing is about 3,200 feet across, which is like the length of 9 football fields. In March 2020, Hubble images showed that a small fragment of the comet broke away from the nucleus. That means that the comet is very active, unlike Oumuamua. As we observed it further, we found that the nucleus is a loose mix of ice and dust particles. Its surface is also very similar to others, with rough areas and smooth blankets of icy, dusty debris. The comet was discovered by an amateur astronomer, Gennady Borisov, so it got the name Comet 2I Borisov. Congratulations! Scientists quickly confirmed it came to us from outside our solar system. And this thing sure was an enthusiastic tourist. It traveled at a breakneck speed of about 110,000 miles per hour. That's fast enough to circle the Earth 4 times in just 1 hour. This visit was fascinating for several reasons. Most comets in our solar system come from the Kuiper Belt or the Oort cloud. The Kuiper Belt is a region of space beyond the orbit of Neptune. It's like a big, distant ring around the Sun, filled with many small, icy objects. All of them are ancient leftover pieces from the time when our solar system was still very young. The Oort cloud is much farther. It's like a giant bubble around the solar system, also filled with super old icy objects. Most long-period comets come from there. But where did the comet 2I Borisov come from? We still don't know for sure. Scientists say that it likely formed in another star system, which could be either younger or older than our solar system. Would be weird if there was a third option, NASA. Anyway, it might have been kicked out from its home system, just like Oumuamua. Although Comet 2I Borisov is too small to hold on to its own atmosphere, it developed a coma when it approached the Sun. Now, coma is a funny name for that beautiful glowing cloud of gas and dust that surrounds the comet's nucleus. It forms when the Sun's heat causes the comet's ice to vaporize, releasing dust and gas into space. This one was friendlier than Oumuamua and gave us some more time to study it. As a result, we learned more about its cool, unique traits. For example, it had never interacted with another star. But, unfortunately, Borisov had to leave too. Now it's on a path that will take it back into interstellar space. However, there are many more visitors to come, and you might have heard of this one. The Great Comet of 1996. That's what we call the comet Hyakutake. It was also named after the astronomer who discovered it, Yuji Hyakutake. In a beautiful coincidence, it was discovered on New Year's Eve. On March 25, 1996, this thing passed by incredibly close to Earth, only about 0.1 astronomical units away, a bit farther than the Moon. It passed over the North Pole. This made it one of the closest comet encounters in 200 years. It was visible worldwide, and it looked very bright and beautiful in the sky, stretching out widely. And it didn't stay for one night only. It got more and more visible during March, becoming one of the brightest objects in the night sky by the end of the month. The comet only fully faded by the end of May. It's a long-period comet, which means it takes hundreds of years to orbit the Sun. The last time it visited was about 17,000 years ago, and now its orbital period increased to 70,000 years. But don't be upset, there are other comets that will brighten our days and nights. Besides, some space objects prefer to stay around for longer. Now, there's this asteroid with a multisyllabic name that, to pronounce, is above my pay grade. This name in Hawaiian means the mischievous one of Jupiter. Luckily, scientists had mercy on us and dubbed it BZ. Hey, speaking for all the other narrators, thank you. It's a small asteroid, only about 1.8 miles in diameter. You can guess from the name that it shares an orbit with Jupiter. But there's a cool catch. The asteroid moves in the opposite direction, which is known as a retrograde orbit. The unusual asteroid was discovered on November 2014. It orbits the Sun for about 11 years and 8 months, sometimes passing inside and outside of Jupiter's orbit. It's been this way for at least 1 million years, and it will remain so for about 1 million more. But why does it move so unusually? BZ might actually be an interstellar immigrant. Perhaps it passed by our solar system about 4.5 billion years ago, around the time when the Sun was just forming. Then it got captured by gravity, but saved its opposite orbit. Or maybe it came from the Oort cloud. Then it could get its weird orbit from the mysterious planet 9, a hypothetical planet that's believed to exist in our solar system far beyond Jupiter. In any case, this asteroid gives us more insight into the history of the solar system and how organic materials can travel to us from outer space. Now, at any given time, there are thousands of objects in our solar system that come from outer space. They stay here for different lengths of time, but sometimes we get lucky, and they end up teaching us a lot about interstellar space. A large space probe is nearing the Sun. The terrifying heat of the star begins to melt the shell of the spacecraft. Another moment, and the probe bursts into flames. In no time, it disintegrates in a powerful explosion. Ah, what a sad ending. If it were true, it was not a probe. It was a comet known as 3I Atlas. And despite everything people say, it's still intact and thriving. The thing is, there is a rumor online saying that Comet 3I Atlas exploded when it got closest to the Sun. But astronomers say this is not true. There was no explosion, and the comet's nucleus still looks whole and undamaged, which is kind of surprising, since comets that pass very close to the Sun usually go through some serious changes. You see, comets are made of a mix of ice, dust, and rocky material, which is why they're often called dirty snowballs. So, when they come close to the Sun, the intense heat from our star makes their ice turn into gas. This new gas can burst out in huge jets, form a cloud around the comet called a coma, and/or be pushed away into a long tail. Sunlight makes all of these parts shine more brightly, and even people with small or simple telescopes can study the comet if the viewing conditions are good. But aside from being a breathtaking view, such a close approach can break off pieces of a comet or even tear its whole nucleus apart. Now, it's true that some comets survive this process, but many, especially small ones, or comets entering the inner solar system for the first time, break into pieces or disappear completely. Well, 3I Atlas acted differently. So there. It reached its closest point to the Sun on October 29, 2025. This point is called the perihelion. At that moment, the comet was about 130 million miles from the Sun. That's about 1.5 times the distance between the Sun and our planet. The comet was also on the opposite side of the Sun from Earth, so the star was blocking it from our view and we couldn't see the comet. Anyway, even though 3I Atlas could hypothetically break apart or release lots of fragments, it didn't. The nucleus stayed intact, and this made the comet's behavior even more unusual and interesting to scientists. They looked closely at the new photos and said everything looked normal. Now, interestingly, the day before, some people thought the comet had broken into pieces after it came out from behind the far side of the Sun. This idea became popular after a blog post said the comet had lost a lot of mass. So, to make this claim, the blog used photos taken on November 9th by 2 small telescopes in Spain. The pictures show jets of gas coming out of the comet. The scientists used this to estimate how much material was coming off the comet, claiming that it should have broken into at least 16 pieces. However, many scientists have questioned this statement. Most researchers say there's no proof that the comet exploded. One scientist who studies the comet says that all the images he had seen showed a completely normal, healthy comet. There's no sign that the main body of the comet has broken apart. Still, now that the comet is coming back into view, astronomers are watching it very carefully. They want to learn more about the comet's materials and structure. Right now, if you look at it from Earth, the comet seems to be slowly moving higher in the eastern sky. If the weather is good, people in many parts of the northern hemisphere can see it with a small telescope, like this one with a 6-inch lens. And many do pay attention to the comet. Since it was discovered in July, it has become the center of many curious ideas. Some people are sure that the comet, which comes from outside our solar system and might be more than 7 billion years old, could be a probe sent by a different civilization. Now, most astronomers strongly disagree, of course. They believe the comet is completely natural and comes from another star system somewhere in the Milky Way. And this is actually exciting. Comet 3I Atlas is only the 3rd interstellar comet ever seen, and it is the largest one of its kind. Before, it was Comet 2I Borisov that passed through in 2019, and Oumuamua, a weird elongated object that appeared in 2017. But 3I Atlas, with its up to 3.5-mile nucleus, dwarfs Oumuamua, which was just a 1/4 mile long, and Borisov, which is about 0.3 of a mile across. Plus, 3I Atlas may be the oldest comet humans have ever observed. Oumuamua is much younger, around 1 billion years old. It came from the galaxy's thin disk, where new stars are still being born. It was the first known object from another star system to pass through our solar system, basically our first interstellar guest. It was super stretched out, about 10 times longer than it was wide, unlike anything else we've spotted in space. As for 2I Borisov, it sits in between, at roughly 1.7 billion years old. It also came from the thin disk. It was the first confirmed comet to come from another star system, and it gave scientists a super rare peek at what materials beyond our solar system were made of. Unlike the first interstellar visitor, Oumuamua, which looked more like an asteroid, Borisov behaved like a classic comet. It had a bright coma, a temporary fuzzy atmosphere of gas and dust forming around the comet's nucleus as it approaches the Sun. Plus, it also had a long tail of dust and gas. Now, 2I Borisov is speeding away from the Sun and will never return. But it allowed scientists to take a glimpse into the chemistry and history of distant worlds. Now, let's get back to Comet 3I Atlas. It will pass closest to Earth on December 19th. Until then, scientists will make many more observations. People will also make many new claims about the comet, that's for sure. But it's best to be cautious and not believe everything immediately. By the way, even though you can't see this famous comet with your own eyes or with a regular telescope, hey, that's good news. A powerful telescope in Italy is streaming it live for free. Whoa! So anyone can actually watch this mysterious object as it passes by. Scientists think this comet weighs about 33 billion tons. That's a big number. How about we make a few comparisons? The Eiffel Tower weighs around 10,000 tons. So, 33 billion tons is the same as 3.3 million Eiffel Towers. And if you decide to compare the space visitor to buildings, well, 33 billion tons is about the same as the weight of several huge city areas made entirely of steel and concrete. Now, 3I Atlas was first noticed in July by NASA's Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, which, if you're paying attention, is where they got the nickname Atlas. Shortly after, NASA confirmed that the object wasn't from our solar system at all. Now, besides being huge, 3I Atlas is unusual in several other ways. As it moves through the solar system, it's releasing massive amounts of carbon dioxide and dust. So this suggests that 3I Atlas is 3 to 5 orders of magnitude, which means 1,000 to 100,000 times more massive than the two other known interstellar visitors. Such an enormous difference is a real scientific mystery. It's also traveling incredibly fast, about 150,000 miles per hour, which is almost 200 times the speed of sound. Hey, that will get you a speeding ticket. And unlike objects in our solar system, which follow curved paths because of gravity, 3I Atlas is moving on a nearly straight line. That alone makes it stand out. Now that the comet has moved past the Sun, telescopes on Earth can see it again. Comet 3I Atlas is important to us because it's only the third interstellar visitor we've ever seen, and it may be the biggest and oldest one yet. And it didn't break apart near the Sun like some other comets. By studying it, scientists can learn what materials exist in other star systems and better understand how comets, and even planets, form in our galaxy. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.